As we made our way back to my dad, we warn other people in the area that the communist troops are here and they immediately begin packing up to leave. When we made it back to my dad, my uncle immediately begins crying to my dad saying that we were attacked by communist troops and don't know if Grandpa is dead or alive. My dad then asks me if we saw Grandpa get shot and die. I then proceed to tell my dad everything saying that Grandpa was still in a rage and he decided to go into the village in broad daylight and being noisy in the village. And as we exit the village, we stupidly took the same route back and that's when the communists attacked us. I clearly saw Grandpa get shot and fall, but we couldn't confirm if he's dead or still alive because we couldn't go back to check on him due to the communist troops. My dad then got mad and yelled at us saying, "I told you guys to be careful and to not enter the village until nighttime. Why the fuck didn't you guys listen to me?" My dad then begins crying and told us to start packing up and say we have to leave this area now. My dad then orders me and my little brother Zao to lead my mom and my wife out of here as he and my uncle and my older brother go back to check on Grandpa. My older brother then said to my dad that we should go with even numbers so there will be pairs. I then told my older brother that if we do that, then who will lead mom and my wife out of here? My older brother then proceeded to say that our little brother can lead them out, saying that he's old enough to start leading now. Saying that we need all the manpower available to go back and that if we do find that Grandpa is indeed dead, then we will have the manpower to help bury Grandpa quickly. So that became the plan as me and my older brother along with dad and uncle went back to check on my grandpa. My little brother led mom and my wife out of the area. As we went back to the village, we didn't take the same route when me and my uncle saw that communist Vietnamese soldier. Instead, we went all the way around that route to the cemetery mountain and then decided to go down from there. As we were making our way down, my uncle noticed footprints and told my dad that it seems like we're not the only one on this mountain. My dad then proceeded to aim his M1 Garand tours where the footprints went down the mountain. My dad then said to us, "Don't be in a rush to follow me," saying that he will go first and don't follow him until he's out of our sight and for the next guy to do the same. My dad is a veteran soldier who's been fighting against the communists for over a decade now, so he's really experienced in warfare. He wanted everyone to be spread apart from each other. My dad went about 20 yards when I lost sight of him and then I proceeded to move after him. As I made it to the spot where I lost sight of my dad, my uncle then proceeded after me. I slowly follow my dad about 15, 20, 30 yards behind him and making sure I don't get any closer than that. We kept going until we made it to a section where there was a steep cliff to our left side, and that's when the communists opened up on my dad ahead of me. I saw my dad fall and he started tumbling down towards me. I crouched down and quickly made my way to my dad to check on him. As I got to my dad, he rolled over onto his butt and began touching his chest and checking himself before saying to me that he's all right and good. My dad then said, "Hurry, quickly, let's move back," saying that the communist troops are literally only beyond that point where he went down. As me and my dad ran back and saw my uncle. My dad immediately signals for my uncle and pointed behind us, and my uncle immediately began shooting towards the area where me and my dad was running from. As we ran by my uncle and went past him about 30 yards, my dad told me to keep running as he turned around and started shooting and covering my uncle as he ran towards us, and we did that covering each other, making our way to safety. My dad then said to us, "There's nothing we can do for Grandpa now, so let's head back." I can see the sadness on my dad's face, but I understood that as much as he wanted to get to his own dad, he didn't want to continue putting us in danger to try to get to his dad. As we made our way back, the sun had settled and now it was nighttime. As we got closer to Mount Jun, my dad told us to stop, saying that we will spend the night here and wait for daylight morning before entering Mount Jun, saying that the events of today have everyone hiding on Mount Jun on high alert and that it will be dangerous for us to try to enter Mount Jun tonight. We might get shot at by our own people by mistake. That morning, we enter Mount Jun and came across the Tao clan patrol group, and they asked us how's the situation back at the village, and my dad told them that it's not good. That communist troops are everywhere around the mountains overlooking the village. We then went to Han Na Pai where my little brother, mom, and my wife was at. The next 2 days my dad cried nonstop. We stay at Han Na Pai for 5 months before the communists finally left the area around our village. During the 5 months in the forest at Han Na Pai, we ate whatever we can find in the forest, and my wife gave birth to our first child. During this time there were more children than adults, and more children also died during this time than the adults did from hunger and sickness. Around April of 1976 we were able to re-enter the village again when the communists had pulled back from the area. My little brother Zao and my uncle along with some of the village men went back to the village and found my grandpa exactly where he was shot and fell. All that remained of his body was bone. His M16 and equipment was all taken by the communists. They took my grandpa and buried him at the Mount Cemetery. Some people at this time when the communists had pulled back attempted to cultivate whatever safest land they can find to start growing food. But me and my family, after having experienced losing my grandpa, did not attempt to cultivate any land. We continue to stay hidden in the forest of Han Na Pai and forage whatever we can find in the forest to eat. 1 month later, in May of 1976, the communists came back, and this time they built a military fort right on top of Mount Jun. The Hmong hiding at Mount Jun and those who kept attempting to go back to the village faced daily attacks from the communists. Clash broke out against the communists almost every day at Mount Yin until 9 months later when the communists withdrew again.